What up, guys? Welcome. We are here finally. It is the Valley of the Suplex podcast. First of all, before we get into what this is, I'd like to introduce my co-host here. I got Matt hanging out to the side of me here. What up, Matt? How we doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing well, sir.
Good. And then underneath at the very bottom, right to the just off to the side of the SummerSlam ring, we have Chris Patrick. What up, Chris?
Yo, fellas, happy to be here. Long time, first time, been a big wrestling fan my whole life. Excited to be doing this podcast. If it wasn't for my big brother Matt there, I wouldn't be as into wrestling as I am today. So can't wait to reminisce on the past, talk about the present, look forward to the future. Niko, who the hell are you, though?
I am Niko Woodruff. I am a avid wrestling fan. I don't know how to explain it. Wrestling was banned in my childhood from a very early age. Was not allowed to watch it, and as I have seen the Attitude Era back, I can understand. But I got real cracked into wrestling because it was something I wasn't allowed to have. My brothers joined in, fell off like I think most of us did around the PG era a little bit, and then came back around the past couple of years with my wife, and we've been to multiple events of Last Hell in a Cell that existed, SummerSlam. We really enjoy hitting any event we can. We lived in Chicago for a while, and that Midwest wrestling scene is incredible. But enough about me. I would love to talk about this beautiful brainchild that we have here in front of us. And that is the Valley of the Suplex podcast. This is super, super exciting to be able to bring this to the VSP network. If you could call it that. It is it's awesome to be the first leg of the podcast world realm that is not necessarily football, basketball, and baseball. We are here to basically give our opinions on wrestling. We have very loud opinions. And we're here because wrestling's cool again, man. That's the thing. The Rock said it on the build to WrestleMania. Wrestling is cool again. 1,000% it is. That means more eyes are going to be on wrestling. That means people who maybe haven't been watching wrestling are going to want to tune back into wrestling. So we're here for them. We're here for you diehard fan. We're gonna talk monthly recaps here. We're gonna do all sorts of fun stuff. We have a figure of the episode segment scheduled. It's gonna be a blast. I cannot wait to get into it with you guys. So let's get rolling. What do you say, guys?
Yeah,
man. Absolutely. Let's get into it.
I'm ready to rock, and I'll just say I'm super excited to be doing Valley of the Suplex here with you guys. Kind of just to add a little more background to what Niko laid out there is we do have the Valley Sports Plug brand or network, as he called it, and I am your president and CEO, of course. I got my hands in a little bit of every stream and podcast we do, and as Niko said, the wrestling scene, WWE, TNA, AEW, is really starting to have such a huge wave of momentum coming back, a lot of fans coming back to the brand. And it even piqued my interest because, like Niko said, in the PG era and the last decade, just about leading up to this, I was kind of tuned out of everything that was going on in professional wrestling. I knew that these two guys were getting back into it. So I approached Niko, said, hey, man, how would you feel hosting a wrestling podcast? And he jumped on the opportunity right away. So I'm just excited to be doing this. Glad to be adding more shows to the network. But Niko is the host. He's the driver. My big brother Matt co-host. And I'm just here to help out where I can. So, guys, what has been going on the last month or so? Let's take a look at that.
Well, I guess we can start by breaking it down with probably our most recent PLE. We're looking at Money in the Bank, which I don't know about you guys. Money in the Bank is one of my favorites. It can either be really poorly done or really well done. I think we've all seen Money in the Banks in the past that have been, absolutely unbelievable. I think even back to like the Liv Morgan Money in the Bank where she cashed in on Ronda Rousey that night. That was a very memorable Money in the Bank. So I personally love this event. For me, I thought that honestly both men and women's talent was a little bit odd on the selection for the actual ladder in the bank or ladder match for the Money in the Bank. I felt that it was a little bit weird. Usually you see a little bit more acrobatic, high flyers, and it seemed like we got a lot of brute force and then one person who was really willing to take a high dive. And I mean, first off, shout out Chelsea Green. That bump was absolutely unbelievable. Off the ladder, out of the ring, through a table. It was a crazy, crazy bump. But like, I would have liked to see a couple more. I don't know. It just like, also big fan of Tiffany Stratton. Love Tiffy time. But I don't know, man. Where's Jade Cargill? Like, I have some questions about that women's division because there's so much talent as to why some of these people were not in these matches. I don't know. Matt, how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on the women's side, I think the hard part is you have to balance people who already have titles with wanting more acrobats, because a lot of that has kind of been concentrated at the top now. Io Sky is not going to be available in most cases because people are just at a certain level, right? To your point about brute force, I mean, adding Jade Cargill, maybe not the play there if you want to add more acrobats, but
touche.
She is, I mean, she's an amazing talent, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I almost want to see people that haven't had a shot all be in that match also. So that's just, for me, like, I was a huge fan of the Cruiserweight division back to TNA when TNA was original TNA X Division fan. I would love to see like everybody going crazy all over the ring. Like that's my style. But I'm more a fan of like the fallout of Money in the Bank and not so much of the match. So for me, I want to see who can one up like the heist of the century. It's probably not going to happen, but who's going to be that next huge moment that comes as a result of Money in the Bank? And that's really where I want to see somebody step up to the plate and really advance their career out of that match.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're all looking for another heist of the century. I think and that's why I brought up Liv Morgan, because I think that might have been the closest to it,
right.
Which is very far off from it, honestly. But yeah, man, we look here at Drew McIntyre on the screen. I love Drew. I have a lot of love for Drew. I love the role that Drew is playing right now. His character is unbelievable. It's not we've seen it before with Becky Lynch, where it was crazy Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch couldn't win a match and couldn't win, and she was going nuts. And this is not what we're seeing in this deterioration of the Drew McIntyre character. We're watching Drew McIntyre turn into like probably a killer, like a psychopathic, like going to sneak into CM Punk's house and murder him type of personality. He's putting in really good work. I didn't need him to have the Money in the Bank briefcase to push this story with CM Punk. I think it's a great story, and I think that both of those guys are doing such a good job that I don't know if we needed to even add the Money in the Bank. You could have had Punk screwing him out of every arena that they walked into until Punk is, cleared to wrestle. Drew, I do think I think it's very funny that Triple H plays on the fact that Drew got shafted out of his championship thing when he won his championship in the dome during COVID, and there's no fans, and Drew's entire championship reign is in front of nobody, and then Triple H is like, "Well, we're gonna give you a championship, and we're gonna take it away 5 minutes later,"
But he got the championship.
He did get the championship, but man,
it's on the resume, right? But does it mean as much?
Right, exactly. I mean,
hey, all I'm saying is, if they don't have to come up with a big cash-in moment, maybe creative can actually give us some great storylines this year that don't involve Roman Reigns. I'll be super excited for that.
That's a valid point. That's a very valid point, because we were hogtied last year with Damian Priest not doing anything with the briefcase, and then really only having Roman Reigns as a belt, because we were still in the 2-belt time where the entire company's handicapped. So yeah, I do agree with you on that. The benefit of Drew cashing in and losing it is that it does free up creative to continue making these awesome storylines that they have been doing. I think for me, just as a Money in the Bank fan, it was like, man, I really just want I want somebody to win, and I want it to be someone we didn't expect. Like if Carmelo Hayes took that briefcase, I would have been pumped about that. That would have been so sick. And then I want him to cash in fucking the middle of Oklahoma on a Friday night SmackDown. I don't want to cash in on a pay-per-view. I want the it used to be where I feel like you could go to any given Monday Night Raw or SmackDown and you'd see a title change hands, or you'd see something crazy happen like back in the day. And it's not like that anymore. And I'd love to see a Money in the Bank be won and then exchanged at some random Tulsa show,
Well, I think that's exactly it. Like, it takes away a little bit of the luster of it and like the unknown, because you have so long that you have where you can draw out that storyline of the guy carrying around his Money in the Bank, teasing of when he's going to challenge, when he's going to not. For him to just lose in the same night is almost criminal. And again, like talking about the structure of that match that you mentioned, Niko, it is weird that the big 6'5", 260-pound guy is the one who wins the ladder match when you had Carmelo Hayes, like you said. These other guys, they're like 6'1", 6'2", 5'8", even was on Andrade. Like, I don't know. I think that it kind of just sweeps it under the rug and makes it, like, I guess, kind of takes the wind out of the sails and any mystery, where you're right. I think a lot of people would have more incentive to be tuning in on a Monday or Friday night to wait and see what happens rather than just, oh, well, that storyline's done.
Well, and, I think WWE has a tendency of doing this thing where they know who the fans want to win and they know who they want to win. And then they don't pick either of them. And they pick someone in between. And we're all like, why was that the answer? Like, why was that for me, I'm looking at this and I don't know, for the third Money in the Bank in a row, I'm like, why the fuck hasn't LA Knight won a Money in the Bank?
I need him to win something soon.
Like, why hasn't he won anything? Why, and not to push it. I know he's got Logan Paul at SummerSlam, and not to push the conversation that way, but like, if he doesn't win at SummerSlam, man, the WWE faithful has every right to start bitching and complaining a little bit. I know that we've all been so in love with Triple H, and rightly so. Most of the things he's done has been very, very good. I need LA Knight to have. You can't have an entire arena scream his catchphrase with him and not crown him in some way, shape, or form. I mean, so I don't know. I love Drew, but like for me, it wasn't. That's not who I needed, and that's not who I wanted.
I haven't needed the last like 6 Money in the Bank winners though.
Yeah, facts. That's the truth too.
Like, at least it wasn't Austin Theory again. But like,
oh my god.
I mean, granted, like 5 years ago, Otis won, so
I was actually a fan for the Otis one. I'm not even gonna lie.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I love Otis so much because a normal-looking human does ridiculous things, but I didn't need him winning Money in the Bank. Like, it's just not a thing. Big E, though, like, most of the last, like, 6 or 10 have been bigger guys, too.
Yep.
Heck, you get Braun Strowman and Lesnar won it in back-to-back years. So, I mean, I don't know. It always seems like everybody just gets beat up and then the strong guy ends up winning out, which it's predictable to some extent. But
100%.
But I do think, like, you guys have a point in, like, it's not like it's unprecedented for a bigger guy to win, but the people want to see the high flyers, like the Rob Van Dams, the Jeff Hardys, even Edge back in the day. I think he won the very first one. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's interesting that you did put guys that are the size and skill set that you would expect to win it, and just have Drew McIntyre take it.
Yeah, you didn't have a big guy win it. I mean, heck, you didn't have a really big guy win it until like 6 or 8 times in, because Kane won out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But like Punk won twice, and all kind of, like, it was all not really cruiserweight guys, but the lower end of the heavyweight spectrum that were taking it. And I think that also speaks to the size of talent back then for the most part.
For sure.
But I mean, even now, some of the most athletic guys in WWE are bigger guys. So we might see one where it's all big guys one year, which would be insane. But then it's all power spots and no high flyers. So,
well, and that's the thing, right? Is that I think the thing that sold us on ladder matches when they first came out, thanks to Christian and Edge and the Hardys and the Dudleys, yeah, like thanks to all those guys, we had. I mean, we were probably spoiled. Jeff Hardy is absolutely screwed because of everything that he did back then. But like, you know, taking 20-foot swanton bombs through tables was a spectacle. And I think that became what we expected to see out of all the Money in the Bank events. And I don't think that it's totally fair, and I'm super guilty of this, but I don't think it's totally fair as a fan to be like, where's our 20-foot swanton bomb? Not everybody has that, which is why I think the Chelsea Green spot took me by such surprise because, one, I know Chelsea was in like Luchador in Mexico for a while and does all these crazy like bumps, but like that I haven't seen that from her in the ring in WWE. So to see her do that was awesome. And it honestly, it makes me wonder if like Matt, does Chelsea have a chance to like be in a title conversation some way, shape, or form with how well she's worked her character and performed in the ring?
I think she needs to have one at some point. I think what we're going to see though is that she's going to have to pick a fight with somebody first. We're going to have to see maybe a Chelsea Green heel turn. Ooh. That could get interesting quick, you know. And
is that even possible right now, do you think? Do you think it's even possible for the WWE crowd to heel turn on Chelsea?
Anything's possible. You can turn perception real quick.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. It depends on who she goes after, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I think it's very interesting because she's been putting in a lot of good stuff for WWE. And to be fair, I think that they did reward her really well in the Money in the Bank match. And I don't know who produced that match off the top of my head, but it was I think one of the better women's Money in the Bank matches that we've seen in a long time. I do want to kind of move down the line a little bit here. The Bloodline, man, this is such a weird match for me at SummerSlam when this should be like SummerSlam is one of your like big pay-per-views as WWE.
It's like the original Big Four, yeah.
Yeah, like is your main event, should it not be a championship match of some caliber? I mean,
it's got to be Cody. I can't imagine it's not.
Well, and that's you know it has to be Cody and Solo. So if we do, and this is why I bring this up because WWE has a terrible reputation lately of doing these. Oh, it's the double main event or triple main event. It's like no, the fuck, it's not. So what's the last match? It's got to be Cody and Solo.
Well, I'll give you two options here. So you either got Cody and Solo late, or you got Cody and Solo in the middle of the program, and Priest and Gunther tear the house down in like a 30-minute match.
Which they could.
It's going to be one or the other. I feel like because I don't think their match is going to go short at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so when we talk about this Cody and Solo match, this is my thought process on this is that we have about, I mean, Solo's stamina. Now, I shouldn't be sitting here talking about anybody's stamina in the ring looking the way that I look, but like I don't think Solo's really shown us that he can wrestle much more than 30 minutes, and that's a little worrisome. But at the same time, that's why I think you have 15 minutes of like Cody and Solo wrestling, and then boom, they drop Roman Reigns' music. You know, the crowd goes absolutely apeshit. I'm assuming you have Bloodline at ringside, or there's a band somewhere, right? Like,
yeah.
So
it's got to be one or the other.
Either that, or they set it up for a no DQ, which they have been known to do. Is just a random no DQ championship match, so everybody's stables can come out and fight for 15 minutes.
Or toss the bloodline from ringside or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I do think that we see, that's my prediction, is I think we see the return of Roman Reigns and a babyface Roman Reigns. I think he's coming for Timu Tribal Chief Solo Sikoa. My man, The Weeknd needs to put it. Look, I really, really like Solo when he came out. This transition to the Tribal Chief has not been one that has aged well on me. It's kind of come off corny. And I see all the Weeknd memes. He does look like the fucking Weeknd. It's hard not to see him in that red suit and not think of, blinding lights. I am so ready for Roman Reigns to just stomp mud holes. Because I don't know about you guys. I like to root for a babyface. Sometimes for me personally, it feels really wrong rooting for a heel. So I got to the point towards the back end of Roman Reigns' reign as champion where when I was in attendance, I was throwing up the ones and I was acknowledging my tribal chief, but I wasn't rooting for Roman. And now I had that opportunity to take maybe one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and root for him. I mean, the dude's literally carried the company through the PG era. And now we get the chance to root for him. I am excited for that. If that happens, I could be putting all these eggs in one basket, which I've been known to do. And then the dude doesn't show up, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But
I want to go back just a second to ask you guys, in that match with Cody and Solo, do you want to see them put into place some kind of ban, or would you prefer that they just say, all right, leashes off, guys, do what you want, have your stables go at it, and have it just be, or no, like you said, no DQ. What would be your ideal scenario that you would want to see?
Depends who's Cody bringing to ringside.
Probably KO and Randy.
I need at least one more though. they need some help.
They do need some help.
You got to have at least 3, and Jacob Fatu's there, so you really need at least 5. The guy's a freaking mutant. I don't know how else to describe it, but
he's unbelievable, man.
He's insane. And they still have more cousins waiting in the wings that are equally insane.
Godzilla.
Yeah, it's scary. But I mean, it depends on who else they can bring to ringside, because I don't want to see Cody and 2 other dudes get just obliterated, and then we're back to. I mean, if he gets Roman on his side, plus KO and Randy, then I'm interested. I'm in. But that's about the only way that I'm in for that. Then you kind of combine both possibilities there. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm hoping for, is that because I'm assuming it starts out 1-on-1. I'm assuming the Bloodline makes a break for the stage from the stage down the ramp at some point. I'm assuming, I have voices in my head, and then Randy Orton comes flying down doing his old man jog. KO's music hits. He starts flying down. I'm assuming that's what we're going to get. And then it's going to be Michael Cole being, oh my God, it's, 3-on-2. You have 3 Bloodline members. Randy Orton and KO can't sustain this. Cody Rhodes is down in the ring. Solo Sikoa has a steel chair. And then, God himself came down.
And then you see Heyman walk
down
out with Roman Reigns. And then,
and it's Paul Heyman with the most shit-eating grin on his face. And he's got those red Pakua nuts, and he puts them on, or takes them off of Roman, puts them on him. And Roman gets down there, and you have this moment where they will come face to face, and Roman and Cody, I think, will then be handshake, and then destroying of the Timu Bloodline.
Yeah, I think that's really the only way that you can end it if they're going to end it. I wouldn't be mad if Roman didn't get involved at all.
Fair.
And if they had a straight up 1-on-1 match, I'm good with it.
I would like that, because we haven't seen that from any of the Bloodline ever. So
exactly. I kind of, in my heart of hearts, if I had to pick a way for Roman to come back, what if he builds a bridge back with Seth and they do a Shield 2.0, but just the 2 of them type of thing?
Man, I got kind of goosebumps as you said that. I love that idea so much. I just think about how hard I almost shit my pants at WrestleMania when the Shield music hit, and I was like, "There's no fucking way Jon Moxley's here right now. There's no way." And I'm just saying, had Jon Moxley walked down that ramp, I was already kind of crying. I blubbering mess, dude.
It would have been like the end of Avengers Endgame all over again.
Oh my god, that's how it was starting to feel, and that's why when I heard the music, I was like, Jesus, if Jon Moxley walks through here, I'm probably gonna have a heart attack right here. But yeah, no, I love the idea of him and Seth being a byway to Roman getting in on the babyface side. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great idea. I don't know if I trust WWE enough to execute it though.
You do something like I've been thinking a lot about family and what it really means to me, and you guys are my blood family, but this guy was here for me for day one kind of thing, and kind of go that way with it. They'd have to find somebody else to join them, and Mox isn't coming back, so I don't know what the hell they would do, but I mean that could be a really cool storyline if they could execute it.
I'm sorry, just to butt in, having kind of, just coming back into the fray with all of this, through my light research here, I'm seeing that Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes are about the same age. They both trained with Dusty Rhodes. Have they played on that storyline of them, training together, coming up through this together?
Yeah, so when the road to WrestleMania was happening, I think they played on it both times, to be honest with you. But it was all, Roman's whole thing was like, I'm the son that your dad wished that he had. And like basically, it was like some real life low blows, because like it's been very public how Cody feels about his relationship with his dad, and how he felt like the wrestlers that his dad trained were more like his kids than he was at certain times. Gotcha. So for Roman to play on that and be like, I actually was the kid your dad wanted, and from the forefront, that's when I started to my ears really started to perk up and be like, oh, WWE we're going back to a certain kind of era where we're not pulling punches and doing foo-foo lines anymore. Mm-hmm. So that, and when Seth Rollins called Matt Riddle a bitch on Monday Night Raw, I was like, yeah, okay, we're going places now. Like, just drop bitch and try to tell me it's PG.
Now we're getting somewhere. Let's go.
Yeah. So I do like the Shield idea though. I don't know. You would, and Matt, you're right. You would have to get a third, and who that third would be, I think, is honestly going to be Diet Coke compared to regular Coke, because you're going to want it to be Moxley the entire time. And
yeah, you could probably make it happen with KO though.
That was my thought too. Was KO is probably the likely third piece in that.
It's kind of the outsider, but it could work. Like that's probably because you're not going to do it with Orton. I think Orton's a little bit too far-fetched, but I could see KO doing it.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of like still in this SummerSlam realm of things. Are we all still on board that Nia Jax is not good?
Were we ever on board with her being good?
I don't know. It seems like every time I turn around, she's got a fucking championship opportunity somehow.
I mean, so did the Big Show.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you got power and you can sell the big move and you're not going to botch a big move, you're going to have a shot at eventually.
But at least with the Big Show, he had that, once in a lifetime type of talent, just with his size and ability.
A safe worker too, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Which I don't think Nia Jax is. I think Nia Jax has put a couple of girls.
She's got a horrible reputation for that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's close with a lot of these girls, so they're not going to throw her under the bus, but she's hurt a bunch of girls.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do love that Jade Cargill can actually put her in her place power-wise.
It's so sick.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, I could kind of see that being like, it's not the same, but like Cena putting Big Show in his place and being able to lift Big Show on his shoulders.
It's very similar, yeah. I do.
Kind of similar feats of strength type situation,
Yep.
And Big Show was like every bit of like 550 pounds, and Cena's carrying him around like he's a ladder. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane. So it's not the same, but I could see where maybe they do a storyline like that if Nia ever has another championship where Jade just comes after, because she's going to be the only one that can really stop her. Her or Rhea basically are going to be the only two.
That's fair. It's the only way I feel comfortable with this scenario, to be honest with you, is if it means that Jade's the one that's going to take the belt from Nia. Because Bayley hasn't had a great run as champion since WrestleMania.
If the wacky inflatable waving arm men are not involved, I don't want Bayley as champion. So,
that's been a consensus from a lot of WWE fans, which is funny because they turned her face and gave her the role model again. But then I guess it's her trying to not be viewed as like a little kid or something. But like, man, blow those son of a bitches up and let them flop around the stage and let's have fun. Like,
I want Bayley wearing the "I'm a Hugger" T-shirt again. Like,
yep,
that's the Bayley era that I want. I don't think she'll ever quite go back there because she wants to be taken seriously.
Yeah,
and I think to some extent it's been played out for so long. I don't see her going back to it.
Yeah,
you're not asking exactly.
Yep,
you're not asking
pre-BBL.
Correct. You're not asking for anybody else really to go back to a gimmick from like 10 years ago.
Right.
You're just not.
Carlito.
Beyond that, I mean, he only ever had one gimmick.
That's been his gimmick the entire time. That's
right?
fair. Yeah. Although I will say his little quips in with the whole Dominic Mysterio thing where he's just like, oh, dude, that's not cool. I'm like, I'm loving those. But yeah, no. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there you go. It's like if they asked Becky to put the goggles back on.
Yeah, exactly. And no, that's very true.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't love any part of that picture. I also am uncomfortable with the entire concept of that match happening ever again, but that's just me.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of just want Nia to go away, but that's...
Well, I thought she was. That's where I'm at with this whole thing. She made her return at the Royal Rumble, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Is this a favor to The Rock? That's what I feel like it is.
But it's got to be nepotism to some extent, right? Like, The Rock is kind of one of the guys who built the modern WWE.
Yeah.
So if he calls in a favor, especially to his old friend Triple H,
yeah,
he's going to keep her around.
I mean, you're telling me that there wasn't a conversation where Trips said, hey, WrestleMania this year, and he said, hey, why don't you get my family members some title shots?
I mean, his family members have enough title shots right now. But like, his family member just had 2 years of carrying the same championship. 3 years.
Yeah,
so
that's very true.
You have a 1,000-day championship reign in your family. You don't need another title shot for a while.
No, that's very fair. Yeah,
love the guy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they need any more favors for a little while. Granted, they're all great performers. That's not an issue by itself.
Well, shit, if they're getting, the favors I'm cool with is like, keep on bringing in Jacob Fatu's if you're gonna do favors. Like, those are the favors I'm a friend of. The favors I'm not a friend of is Nia Jax breaking Rhea Ripley's arm because she doesn't know how to execute a move. Like I don't know, man. Like not for me. Hasn't been for me for a while, but nonetheless, we can move on from this subject here. There was a little bit of traction in the women's tag division as far as SummerSlam goes. I do believe that it is God, I can't remember the name that they gave them, but Isla Dawn and the two Scottish girls.
I'm drawing a blank too. That's not good.
Spooky Witches is what Alyssa calls them. So that's what I would call them, is the Spooky Witches. They are currently holding the tag team championships. There, I believe, is going to be a match at SummerSlam from maybe SummerSlam. Maybe this is something they do, honestly, the SmackDown before SummerSlam. But I think that there's going to be a rematch between Bianca and Jade. and the Spooky Witches of Destiny, and I just really, really hope. I hope we can get the women's tag division figured out. Which it's like been a mess for so long, and they have the unholy union. That's what it is. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, like this tag division has been a mess, and like a lot of people say it's the fact that we're just cropping wrestlers together, and they're not really full tag teams, and I mean, at this point, is this belt even? Do we even realize this belt exists as wrestling fans anymore?
I only kind of need one women's tag championship across all three brands.
That's what it is right now. It's only one.
And there's NXT and then main roster, though. Right?
No, NXT's gone, right?
Yeah, they eliminated the NXT one.
Yeah, when the Unholy Union came up, they had the NXT tag titles and they unified them.
That's right.
Which I also agreed with. Your women's tag division is a dumpster fire. You don't need 3 tag team belts.
Yeah, well, especially because a lot of your great tag teams are also top tier solos. Like Kabuki Warriors don't need to be a tag team.
Right.
They could be a stable.
Yeah.
But I don't need them both being tied up with a tag championship ever again.
Exactly. I don't know. The tag team, I'm not going to spend too much time on the women's tag division. It is a dumpster fire that I don't think even the likes of Triple H knows how to fix at this point. But I don't know, man. That I really would like to see the belt. I don't even want to see the belt on Jade and Bianca. I just like there's so much talent in NXT. Send some of that talent up quietly. Send it up quietly. Make them a tag team, work out a gimmick, put a program together. Let's a little bit of old school functionality. We don't have to keep it 1,000% Vince, but like, we can keep the murmur level where it's at a low and we don't know everything that's happened. So I don't know. That's what's up.
But feel free to send Joe Hendry also to main roster WWE when he comes around.
Dude, Joe Hendry. Honestly, and that's actually a great transition because we can talk about NXT now. Mr. Joe Hendry has been lighting NXT up. I saw in one of the most recent posts from NXT, Hendry appears next to Joe Coffey, claps twice, says, you're going to be seeing a whole lot of me on NXT more often, which, I can't be mad at Joe Hendry. It's super funny. He's worked this character out to a T. It's a catchy song. I've turned it into a jab for my daughter where I sing the song and input her name and all sorts of other things, and she is so mortified by it. I love the whole Joe Hendry thing. It's great.
It's fantastic.
Shout out Shawn Michaels and NXT, just period.
Correct.
100% like unbelievable with what they're doing right now. Bringing in, I mean, they brought in an AEW, a girl who wrestled in AEW literally the next day and signed her and had her wrestling at NXT the next week, and she put on a fucking show. I have to look up her name, but she was, I believe, from one of the lucha associations in Mexico. And she was a stud. Ethan Page. I am an unapologetic Ethan Page fan. I think that this character that he has, the all ego character, him coming in, having a fucking awesome triple threat match for the NXT championship, him having I don't know. He's just. I thought he was really underused at AEW, and he's not underused in NXT. It's crazy what happens when you put guys with big personalities in positions to show those personalities. I mean, I really, really, I don't know. The second I saw him go from AEW to ROH, I was like, can't be good for Ethan Page right now. because like ROH gets an hour of film time before AEW, and there's 3 people in the audience.
Yep.
So it's not great when you're wrestling ROH. Although I did see Jess Rodden on ROH. Keep an eye out for Jess Rodden. She is one of like at least in my eyes, like best indie women's wrestlers. Absolute stud. But back to brass tacks. Ethan Page is doing a knockout job with this championship. He came in, was hot immediately. It was a sneak attack. Nobody knew he was signed. It was very well done the way they did it. NXT has brought back the Rascals with Wes Lee. That's super cool. I mean, man, honestly, like Shawn Michaels sounds like he's listening to his talent. Mm-hmm. If you want me to be completely honest with you, even Joe Hendry, obviously having the connection with TNA, Triple H, you're a god for that. That is what wrestling fans have been clamoring for forever, is some sort of forbidden door. I know that we got it with AEW and New Japan, but like, let's be honest, guys. How many of us are actively watching New Japan? It comes across my Instagram, but like, I'm not going out of my way right now, you know.
Unless it's a big match, you know.
Yeah.
If Omega's doing something, or
right.
like AJ was there recently and got to do a match, like those are things I'll watch. But I'm probably not gonna watch it live, realistically.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, I really want to like Triple H is an absolute G for that. The ability to bring in Joe Hendrys, the ability to have the option to bring in Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is signed to TNA. You could bring Matt Hardy in and have him do an NXT championship and sell out the Performance Center, and then probably do better ratings on a Wednesday night than what we're getting from AEW right now. I mean, AEW seems to be spiraling down a shit chute really quickly. Yeah. And NXT seems to be kind of stepping up into that role of good, like, watchable wrestling. So I don't know. I wanted to give NXT their little bit of shine because I feel like it went from being a laughing stock and incredibly hard to watch to like being like palpable, like wrestling again.
So just a thought that I had.
Yeah.
Kind of bringing our conversation now full circle from the beginning of the show. What if they were to use Money in the Bank as a springboard for somebody from NXT?
Oh, I'd fucking love it.
Even if it's a separate briefcase. Like, hey, you get 6 months to challenge or something like that, right? Now you get somebody like Carmelo Hayes, doesn't have to be called up to the main roster unless he's going to go win. If you don't win, you don't leave NXT, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that idea.
That would be a cool way to do that. I don't know how you would execute it, but that could be a way to do it.
No, I do like the idea of even having, you know, like a separate match for like a futures, if you want to call it like that, you know, where you have guys that are you have like 3 guys from NXT, 3 guys that are like on the lower card in WWE that, you know, have promise. You put them all together and they fight for a 6-month contract to cash in a championship. I think that's a great idea because if somebody catches fire, like an Ethan Page, you can take that and go, okay, well, we've caught something. Let's mold this into, you know, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, you made it happen on a big stage. Maybe we can give you a shot.
If they do something like that, though, do they have to insert? Like, would they have to write it to where they insert them as getting a championship opportunity, or just like a contract to get an opportunity to wrestle within the WWE generally?
Oh no, I think they should. I think we should give them a title shot. Personally.
Yeah. I think
it's like the big splash move to get them in, right? That makes sense.
And it doesn't, because I mean, there's a pay-per-view every month. You're gonna eventually, you know, things are gonna happen. Guys are gonna get injured. It's an easy fallback to have somebody there to be like, oh, well, like, you know, Ethan Page has been wrestling really well. Let's throw him on there. Or, you know, Jerome Evans, that dude is a stud. He's been wrestling really well. Throw him up in there. Like, you know, I think it's a great idea. Honestly, I don't know why we're not up in Connecticut making decisions, but, you know.
Creative, give me a call.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, guys, I do want to. I'm gonna stretch off into AEW a little bit. There's just a couple of things I wanted to talk about here. Not a whole lot, as I mentioned. AEW does seem to be spiraling down a shit chute. That being said, Britt Baker has finally returned. It has been almost 2 years without Britt Baker now. It's been a really long time. And the women's division has kind of been in flux. You saw Jamie Hayter carry the belt for a long time. Tony Storm has been carrying the belt for a long time. You got Mercedes Moné, obviously, holding the TNA or the TBS belt, excuse me. You had Jade Cargill hold that belt. Britt is their homegrown number one talent, and she is their first. She was her and Thunder Rosa were basically the two biggest signings they had. I personally love Britt Baker. I think she's great in ring. I also am in love with Britt Baker, so but it's nice to see her back. I think she has one of the dopest intros in wrestling. I think the Doctor Will See You now, and then her coming out and doing DMD with the crowd following along. I think that's fucking hard as shit. I don't think we get that as much in wrestling anymore, and that's really cool to see. That, and she's like a complete and total she wears the Nikes. She comes out with the Jordans on. She's repping Pittsburgh at every turn. She is. I mean, it's very nice to see. What it looks like they're angling for is Monet and Britt Baker. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I know they have a plan for Tony Storm. I don't know what the hell it is besides this Mariah May thing, but I would have liked to see Britt Baker get her belt back and not the TBS championship, which I feel like in AEW is a absolute lower belt than your championship belt is. So I do feel like it's an interesting move. I also wonder how much of it is a power dynamic inside of that locker room. The AEW locker room has been very turbulent. Not just, I know the most famous incident is the EVPs and CM Punk, but Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker do not get along, and they don't handle each other well. And Britt Baker did not handle the way Thunder Rosa left for injury very well at all. So I don't know. It'll be nice to see Britt in a program, but I don't know if I want her fighting for that TBS belt. Matt, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean it's tough to say because she's been away. Britt's been away for so long. You hope that she comes back and does just as well as she was before. The landscape has obviously changed. I could see them going a million different ways with it, and also it's Tony Khan, so it might get fumbled horribly. So
it won't go any of the ways we're expecting. Then that's what that means.
Yeah, you hope that she at least gets a shot, but beyond that, it's really hard to tell what the hell is going to go on from there.
God, that's the truth. And I mean, that is honestly, guys, why we're not talking about AEW a whole lot, to be honest with you, because at least in my eyes, it's gone from very stable, wrestling company where things were making sense to none of it made sense all of a sudden. Why are these programs happening? Why are these guys wrestling these guys? Didn't we just have this championship between Death Triangle and the Acclaimed? Didn't we just do this 6-man tag team? What do you mean there's another belt? You're naming it what now? It's been a little chaotic. And as someone who has been to multiple AEW shows, and a proud subscriber of the AEW box where I get the t-shirt in the mail and, all that kind of stuff. I really wanted AEW to succeed. John Moxley has stepped on my Jordans before. I have scuffed up Jordans because John Moxley. Yes. Yeah, I have a pair of Chinese New Year's 11s that they're velvet, and he stepped on them in work boots and fucking scuffed the shit out of them. They're screwed, which is fine because now I have a great story to tell. But I mean, I really wanted AEW to succeed, so I am in no way, shape, or form like a WWE elitist and all this. I'm calling it like I see it, and what I see is what we've seen in the past.
I don't think it's you come off as an elitist at all, because when anybody thinks of pro wrestling, even a casual like myself, you think of the WWE. I think what AEW needs to do, but they're not doing, is stay in their lane. And from what I've heard, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I'm saying like own the niche that you hold right now and use the talent that you have. And it just seems like from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is it's almost coming off as gimmicky, and they're trying to push the envelope to try and compete with someone who is not even in their wheelhouse. It's like that scene from I think it was Endgame, where he's like, "You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are." Like,
it's the truth, though, man. I mean, honestly, AEW was doing a really good job at being ECW and like TNA on steroids. And I think that they got kind of conflicted with trying to compete with WWE, because they were competing with WWE. When they were doing those things, they were fucking competing. And now we've put on shoes that are too big for our feet, and we're tripping as we fall. And I mean, as somebody who personally, I fucking love the early stuff at AEW. Even as of like a year ago, the stuff from AEW was really good. The past year, man, I don't know. It feels like it slipped off. Matt, am I crazy for this, or?
Yeah, I almost feel like they're falling into a lot of the same traps that WCW fell into.
Yep.
And that's probably not a one-to-one comparison, but I think you see a lot of the same mistakes being made. There's a lot of favoritism. There's a lot of issues with the locker room. A lot of the same refrains we've heard from other competitors to WWE before. Not that by any means they're doing the wrong thing, but I don't think that they're necessarily doing things that are going to keep them competitive long term. So I don't know, it's tough. There's only so much that they can do to really compete directly with WWE, and I just don't know if they have enough talent being used the right way to make that happen.
Yeah, I don't think you're far off on that statement, to be honest with you. I think we're kind of ending our time here on the first episode, guys. I do have one more segment I'd like to get into. This one is a little sentimental and personal to me. It is figure of the episode. So for those who don't know, I am an avid wrestling figure collector. I'm not by any means crazy with it. I have a pretty decent collection, but it is one of my favorite things. So I don't know if you guys can kind of tell or if my lighting's going to mess it up, but I do have some. Alyssa calls them babies, so that was what's going to come out of my mouth naturally. But there are some babies behind me, and I have brought my guy here with me, and this is my Eddie Kingston autographed AEW figure. So the reason this bad boy is the figure of the episode today is because this was our first episode. This was Bambi walking with fresh legs. This was, us trying our hat in the wrestling world. And like, honestly, this figure, I got it at AEW. I bought it with the signature on it. I did not get it signed at the event, but I did get it bought with the signature on it. This was like the kickoff point for all my action figures. So I think it was fitting to make, the kickoff point for my action figures the figure of the episode for the very first episode.
Nah, I like that a lot. That's pretty sweet. I mean, I won't take anything away from you for not getting it signed in person and buying it autographed. Were there any others that you had to pick from, or was there a specific reason that you had picked that one at the event?
So Eddie Kingston is a classic New York, I'm fucking walking here kind of guy. I mean, yeah. Dude, they had a death match and he came out with a gas can, a cut off Yankees tee that had blood all over it. And he was a complete badass. He would spit these promos where it was just like, I don't like you because you're a fucking bitch. That's why I don't like you. And you're like, who is this dude? I like this guy. It was a very real character. And so I saw it, and honestly, if I'm being this Goomba, look at him.
That's very New York.
Yeah. He's so cheesy. He's on the field of the Yankees right now. He's your typical New York, down at the bodega, get the chopped cheese kind of guy. And I really liked how real he felt, and how raw his promos felt, and how it kind of felt like if you were talking shit to somebody, it didn't feel like somebody being like, "Oh, I'm gonna bust your head, brother," and all the Hulkamaniacs are gonna know it. It was
authentic. Since we lost Matt, we now have our next co-host here. Who's this fella?
This is Rhodes, after Cody Rhodes. So I guess it's very fitting.
I like it.
Get down, little man. Yeah. So I really liked the way Eddie Kingston spit a promo. That's the quickest way to my wrestling heart. That's why I love The Rock. Anybody that can talk shit on like national television and get me to go, oh, like you've automatically got my eye. So it was the only figure. I will be honest about that. Completely was the only figure there, but it just so happened to be like the dude I was into at the time. So it worked out very well.
It was like it was meant to be. Like,
it was.
The stars aligned. I love it. Well,
yes.
like I said, we did lose Matt, but with Valley of Suplex, Niko, I'm not trying to steal any of your thunder. I'm going to let you do the outro, but I just want to say I think that this first episode was awesome. I really am excited for what we're going to be doing here moving forward. Fully intend to have guests on, including your wife, our friend Roman, anybody else who we can find that was willing to come talk wrestling and knows what they're talking about. We did lose my brother Matt. Matt will be back for every future episode, as many as he can make. You know, assuming nothing bad happens, he'll be on all of them. But yeah, Niko, really, really happy to be here and be a part of this. I'm excited.
I am too, man. Honestly, I'm super excited. There's a lot to talk about around the wrestling world right now. As you see, we ate up an hour fairly easy. I feel like we can definitely keep doing that with the content that's being pushed out. And the funny thing is we didn't even talk Dominic and Liv, man. And that's the biggest damn storyline in wrestling right now. So if that doesn't tell you like that this isn't a tree that's going to be all bearing with all its fruit, I don't know what will. So, yeah, I mean, dude, fantastic first episode. I am so excited. I am excited that you're here along with me, that Matt's going to be here along with us. This thing is going to get rolling. We're going to work out the kinks and get this ship flying sound and straight for sure.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We're gonna do Valley of the Suplex once a month. Probably middle to end of the month, you can expect to get that out. And like Niko said, we're going to work out the kinks. We're going to find our flow. But this was just episode 1, guys. Many more to come, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So, Niko, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Not much, man. I guess we'll wrap this bad guy up here. Thank you guys for coming. Like, subscribe, VSP. Follow. We have our handles here. You can follow us. Make sure to subscribe to the main VSP site, please. On YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, we're on all of it. We look forward to giving you more wrestling content soon. Until next month, we'll see you soon. Chris, for Matt, we'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.